Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Let's Talk with Kay, with me, Kay, of course, where I talk about fitness, health, wellness, and drop in a little pop culture and spirituality every now and then. Well, I was just thinking about this last night and some of it this morning about living with toxic families and how it can affect your health, whether that's physically and mentally. And let me just give you some backstory about my life. And yes, I'm getting right into it. I would say, honestly, I was more led than anything to leave my toxic family. And I believe that, honestly, if I wasn't really led or anything, it's a chance that I probably would have stayed, because I didn't have any other, I thought I didn't have any other way to leave. When I graduated high school, I went straight to college and I lived in the dorms. And some of my friends, I'm not going to say they were really close friends that I talked to about my deepest personal things, but a lot of them were like, it don't make any sense, Well, it's like, I guess that's a little bit better. That it didn't make any sense because, it's more expensive. You can stay home. One of my friends, who actually I found out later was, I guess, related to my stepsisters. She was like, I know what you're going through. And I don't really blame you. Because I will say that living in that family, I would say I felt really invisible all the time. My mom, she was, I would say, emotionally neglectful and sometimes physically abusive. I would say she was also mentally, emotionally abusive as well. And so I just kind of often felt invisible. And I had my younger sister, who was 4 years younger than me. She was, I would say, the golden child. Like, she could do no wrong. My mom was very accommodating to her, and in ways that to me did not make any sense. And then on top of that, I'm sorry if I'm spitting or whatever, but on top of that, it's like it's like you have your roles and you cannot really be yourself. And that's another thing. I could not be myself. It seemed like they already gave me a role and told me who I am and how I should act, my personality. And what made it worse also, we went to this cult, no, or I should say this church. It was Pentecostal, and they believed in women wearing dresses. So it was like one day you wearing whatever you want to wear, to like you putting on dresses every day. And I was kind of tomboyish. I like to be outside, ride my bike. It just didn't make any sense to me. It was just like, no. And also another thing, in that household, it's like communication was like frowned upon. That's the best way I could put it. It was frowned upon. It was like it always had to be quiet all the time. Like, my mom seemed like she didn't want to hear nobody talk or anything get loud. Like, yeah, right, you going too far if you getting loud, even though we were kids. But inside the house, it seemed like it was always quiet, like you always had to be on your tiptoes or whatever. I'm not sure if anybody else, I think I may have heard some few people online talk about this, but if you're listening to this, I mean, I would like to hear it. Like, can you relate? So it seemed like it wasn't, like you couldn't talk as a kid. You couldn't really communicate. Or maybe that was just me, and my sister and my mom had secret communications, which I found out later on in life that my mom, she was very, I ain't gonna say very, I would say they were enmeshed. My mom and my younger sister were enmeshed. Like I said, she couldn't do no wrong, and she would tell my younger sister things that I don't know nothing about until my sister kind of want to like dry brag about stuff, and she will brag about it. Like, I know I'm kind of rambling, going off topic, but I'm just giving you some little anecdotes about my background and reasons why I'm saying what I'm going to say right now or later on. Like, I was in college and I'm paying for everything myself, and my thing is, I went to one of the most expensive colleges, and it was in my home city, and I applied for colleges that were, you know, state colleges as well. And one of my colleges that I really wanted to go to was a state college, but for some reason I guess my mom really didn't think I was serious about going to college, so she basically like, oh, you got mail, and those, you know, start getting the college acceptance letters. And then next thing you know, my mom, I didn't realize it at the time because I'm a kid, you know. I'm not, you know, I'm basically got one focus or whatever, you know. I'm not thinking what my mom can do and all that type of stuff. Golly, I'm like, why am I feeling like I'm spitting? Sorry. Maybe it's this toothpaste I just had, I don't know. But anyways, she was really guarded about the mailbox. And it never really dawned on me that my mom was basically throwing away other letters that came after my acceptance letters, but I only got mail from the college I eventually went to. So my mom basically just decided, I don't want her to go to these other colleges. I want her to go to this college because she's in town. Maybe I can, you know, still have some control, because that's what it was really all about, just control and things of that nature. So I didn't realize it till like years later that, you know, as I was thinking and all that, because I always was like upset about like what happened, and it seemed like spirit basically led me to the answer, which was my mom was basically hiding and throwing away my other mail. And then I started remembering that, you know, hey, she was really guarded about that mailbox. She come home like, did you check the mail? Don't go to that mailbox. I'm like, and mind you, I rarely went and checked the mail and go to the mailbox. So it was like, but thank God that, you know, eventually, but I had to go to the military and all that for my loans to end up getting paid off. So thank God for that. You know, I was of course in the military, and I worked for, you know, state government, like a state government, federal government, and eventually, you know, I guess all that time, you know, working for the government basically helped me get like loan forgiveness through the government. I forgot the exact program, but yeah, so it was just being secretive. And also, you know, she told my sister about, you know, money that she was gonna get in a divorce for my stepfather. And my sister kind of like dry bragged about, oh, you know, my mama, she's gonna get some money from divorce. Mind you, she was 4 years younger than me, and at that time she probably was like barely turning 20 or 19 or something. She's like, oh, mama getting some money. Like, it's like she's just like a mini version of my mom. And I'm like, okay. And then, oh, I forgot, I was supposed to be getting some. So obviously I kind of knew, put A, B in together and read between the lines, that if she ain't telling me nothing, I'm not getting no money. And mind you, I'm like, dude, I don't mind getting a little help for college. You know, you kind of led me down this path to go to some real expensive college. So, and to me, honestly, I don't think it was really worth it. That's just my opinion. I don't think it was really worth it, worth the degree that it was printed off on. Yes, I'm grateful that, you know, I am able to, you know, get good jobs or whatever, but honestly, I felt like it was a stepping stone to get, you know, my master's, which pretty much led me to get into the work that I was into before I started my online reselling business. But if I just relied on that degree, it was hard then to get a job. It was, still kind of hard years later until I had to pivot and do something else. But anyways, and then my mom, she told my sister about land. I'm not sure, how soon she told my sister. I'm not sure if she was in high school or, a lot older. But my sister, she knew about hundreds of acres of land that my mom told her about. And, I didn't know nothing. And I noticed that when it comes to a toxic family, it's like I said in the beginning, they assign you personalities and all that type of stuff. And it seemed like everybody else in their family, I'm the 6th out of 7 siblings. So it's like they felt or they knew that they can't get out of those boxes of their personality. And if my mom feel a certain way about, for example, me, then they had to act accordingly. So years later, they were, very secretive about, dang, I feel like it just got dark. I don't want the sun right in my face. They became really secretive. They didn't want to tell me anything, even when it was even during the process of getting this land back, which was hundreds of acres. Not trying to brag, but knowing my family and all that, and knowing myself, of course, I was the first person who graduated high school, the first person who graduated college, only person that really, got my graduate's degree, got a career and all that type of stuff. And, I'm like, why y'all gonna leave out the smartest person in the room? So they were really secretive about, the process of the land. And it was so insulting that one of my older sisters, instead of talking and communicating with me, letting me know that, that we're trying to, go to court and fight to get hundreds of acres of land back. No, she didn't want to go about it that way. She just kind of like, oh, give me your address. She don't talk. She's very, like, how should I put it? She's very, very cold. I would put it that way. She's very cold. To me, she's mean, kind of mean-spirited. Like, I ain't gonna say mean. She don't walk around like mean and mean-mugging everybody. It's just arrogant. That's the word I'm looking for. She's very arrogant and thinks she's better than a lot of people. So she got this air about her, and it was so insulting because it's like, dude, instead of asking me for my address, or basically telling me to give you her address without no explanation or anything. Oh, now she lied. She said, oh, I want to get your address to give you a gift, which I gave her my address, and I never got that gift, of course. And when come to find out, like I said, I always find out something. I got a letter, I guess the other side, the plaintiffs or defendants, I guess they were the defendants, I don't know too much about it, which is sad, that they basically did everything properly. So I got a letter from them, I guess requesting to I guess for them to, like, hey, I'll give you some money or whatever, for this land. And they had mineral rights and stuff on it. So that's kind of how I found out. And I called my younger sister and then kind of go on from there. So they didn't want to tell me nothing. So it was like, I'm not going to go too farther deep into it, but make a long story short, we lost all the land. And I'm like, dude, and then the way they went about it, I'm going to have to do a story time about that. The way they went about it, it was so dumb and stupid. I'm like, dude, these people here, hundreds of acres of land in Texas. Why in the world you going to get a paralegal? No offense to paralegals, but I would think you might want to get a lawyer. And I tried to get a lawyer, but the lawyer kind of like, dude, I just told her that's okay because my family don't want to work together. And They don't want to tell me nothing. And then next thing you know, my sister, I'm rambling right now. Next thing you know, my younger sister, she tried to be underhanded and all this type of stuff, because she lives for that attention. And honestly, I think she's a narcissist too. So it's like, I just like, fuck it. I'm just let y'all do what y'all do. If you get the land, we get it. If not, ain't gonna be no hard feelings, because you know, I'm like in my 40s and I know about this land, and nobody wasn't really telling me anything, and I don't have it. I ain't have it before. So because at the end of the day, I had to settle for my peace, because they were just, you know. So I guess the point in all this, I understand now. I ain't gonna say right now, right this moment, but I do understand why God, spirit, or ancestors, whoever, led me to be away from my family. And eventually I had to be at peace with, you know, cutting off my family. Because honestly, I had to, you know, reconcile that they didn't like me. They don't really like me. They jealous of me. And, you know, a lot of them are snakes. You know, snakes in the grass. And I feel like if I didn't leave my family, then basically, I've been stuck in mental turmoil. I wouldn't been myself. I felt like I would have to play a role in that family that was assigned to me since probably birth. And I've been very unhappy. I felt like I wouldn't been, what you call it? I can't think of the word right now, but I wouldn't, dang, I wish I remember that word right now. But if I remember it, I'll put it on the screen. But I felt like I wouldn't really been myself. I wouldn't really been like truly love myself or anything like that. And that's why a lot of people, especially who came from toxic families, even therapists and doctors, advise like, hey, you might have to cut your family off, because, you know, it's like, why you in that mix, you know, with them, it's like you can't really think clearly. You still kind of in that box. You still, you know, basically kind of depressed from the things you went through, because nobody really want to talk about things or go to family counseling. And it's kind of like gaslighty in a sense. And like my family right now, they kind of like, I don't know what kind of personal conversations they having or whatever, but it seemed like when I was like in a group chats and things like that, it's like they were in denial about a lot of things. It's like they came to terms that, hey, let me just gaslight myself and act like my mom was the best mom in the world, even though they had stories that they seemed like they didn't want to tell me or whatever. But you hear stuff here and there, but not the full story. But that my mom was very, very abusive, and you know, and a lot of them became very resentful, my older siblings, and they decided, hey, they kind of cut my mom off and come back in her life and then leave and all this type of stuff. And now she passed away. It's like they now gaslight themselves into thinking, hey, I'm in denial now, and everything was just great about our childhood. My mom was just this lovely woman. But I feel like you have to leave those situations, because it's going to kind of confuse you or whatever. And I'm so thankful that, you know, that I did leave. I went to college, and then eventually, you know, I moved out of the city. Then I went into the military. And then even when I got out the military, I just like, dude, I didn't understand it. You know, I really didn't understand too much about the psychology of things. But I did not want to move back. I felt like I was going to be sucked right back into that family dynamic. And just feel miserable again. And so I'm like, cut out. I'll tell anybody, don't listen to no about people that's online who basically kind of acting like they like flying monkeys, and they really don't understand it, and they downplay situations and things like that, and like, girl, just stay in your family, dude, just stay in your family. Because I'm like, hey, I'm like, and sometimes I would have to mention this: if you stay in those families, it can be dangerous. I wanted to talk about this a long time ago. If I find a video clip, I will put it on here. But basically, he killed his mom, his sister, who was a prominent attorney, and and I think another sibling. My thing is, I don't care who they are. If mama or daddy, but more than likely a mom will sit there and have a dusty up in the house, taking care of him, washing him, feeding him, clothing him, and he's not doing nothing. Basically, you don't know what type of mental this person may have, or anybody, as a matter of fact. And you can be with somebody that could be dangerous. Like I said, my family, I stay away from them. I felt like God basically put it in my heart to, like, you might want to stay away, because you don't know. Because right now, I think about this on a spiritual level. You don't know what may happen. Because not trying to victim blame, but I wish that lawyer would have just kind of like, you know what, this family looked and like, this family is toxic, I'm gonna have to go, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe she could have been a golden child and like, hey, ain't no reason for me to go. And you hear so many things, you hear so many stories like this with families that, I mean, I know sisters do it or women do it, but the ones that come to mind are two men that killed their sisters. A lot of times were jealous about their life. They want what they have and other stuff. And to me, it can be even dangerous. So I'll be like, don't listen to everybody. Evaluate your situation and decide whether you need to cut them off or not. I would say go online and listen to psychologists that are prominent. They know what they're talking about. Go to therapy and get you some help. And then on top of that, especially if you're like a empath or you have other spiritual gifts, be careful of who you surround yourself with. Practice spiritual hygiene and protect your energy, because you only got this, you have this life in this incarnation to live. And like I said, mentioned in one of my previous videos, everybody deserves to be happy. It's up to them to make that choice to be happy. And also, besides being dangerous, I mean, it can affect your health. You so depressed and things like that. When you depressed, like, if you're going through a depression screening, or the doctors know you have depression, a lot of times they ask you about your physical health, like, are you in pain, are you this? Because it will affect you. I didn't get it at first, but it does affect you. And then next thing you know, if you constantly like in that family, whether you hanging out with them a lot, gossiping with them on the phone, on social media with them, like on Facebook and things, you in contact with them. And then a lot of times when you do live close, they stalk you. Right now, I know they stalk my page. They stalk either one or two or more. I know at least two will stalk my page. They will go on my stores and all that. Basically, just a monitoring spirit. So I would say it's, best to cut them off with that. But if you are, like, to me, it's not really a family, a healthy family. It's just enmeshment, codependency, trauma bonding, type of relationship that they have and other toxic families have. So basically, you know, if you in that enmeshment or whatever, and you, especially if you're a black sheep, you can develop inflammation, which inflammation, from my understanding, is a cause of a lot of diseases, heart disease. You know, you're having strokes, high blood pressure. Some people develop cancers. What else? Autoimmune diseases. So it's like, dude, your body will tell you whether you want to, whether you understand it or not. Your body will tell you. Your body will keep a tally of how these emotions and things that you're dealing with due to toxic families can affect you. But I would say, you know, it's best to, if you live in a toxic family that can be dangerous, you know, like I explained about that story, or it can affect your health. It's like, cut them off. The narcissistic families, the toxic families, it's not worth it. It's like living in a cabal, you know. And if you go out of step, they ready to like off you, whether it's just not really talking to you, silent treatments, no support whatsoever. You're like, hey, it's not. I'm like, some people, I might do separate videos, you know, that's kind of surrounding this topic, but a lot of people probably thinking about the loneliness they might go through. I'm like, dude, are you lonely now? You know, honestly, I don't really feel lonely, because guess what? I developed that love for myself, that high confidence. And to me, I don't feel lonely. I feel like Spirit kind of led me to kind of be in a season of isolation, which I'm about to, I guess, kind of get out of now. And, you know, and I feel like sometimes I have to force myself, because I honestly enjoy my own company. So, and, you know, going through what I went through in the past and all this type of stuff, it's like, dude, sometimes I'd rather be by myself instead of with a whole bunch of people. Because people can be very, 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 oh, I forgot. I want some coffee. Let me close my garage. But yeah, people can be very, very iffy. I feel like there are a lot of adult children. Mentally wise, you know, mentally than actual adults on this planet. But anyways, I know this is kind of like a rambly video, but in my channel it's called Let's Talk with Kay. So if you can relate to what I'm saying, you know, I would like to hear it in the comments. That whether you already cut your family off, or it can be toxic families, toxic friends, toxic workplaces. I probably, the next videos, I probably talk more about this, because I've seen some videos as of late about these toxic families, and I might try to react to the stories that I hear. But yeah, so, but comment. I want to hear what you guys are going through. Have you decided to cut your family off? Are you thinking about cutting your family off and kind of unsure about how to go about it? You know, let me know. And then also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, and like and hit that bell button for notifications when I have a video up. I'm currently doing a video a day challenge for myself for 30 days. I haven't been really perfect at it so far, but I only kind of like, I think I had 2 videos or 3 that basically was late, but I'm getting back into it. But anyways, You know, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit distracted right now. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I wish you guys well. Have a good day. Bye-bye.